It is a huge honor for me today to be podcast interviewing Charlene White.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Who's been an orthodontic consultant for 31 years.
Yeah, of course. Seth Godin at Google says don't tell them how many years anymore because everybody wants the new and the different. But I've been in over 700 offices as a consultant.
That and it's all orthodontic?
Mostly, yeah. I do go to dental offices when they have an orthodontic component and they're trying to put their orthodontic division together, or pedo office. So those are outside of just purely orthodontics that obviously have become a lot more popular lately.
Well, one of my, I'm just trying to help the dentists, and I do these for free. Thanks for coming on the show for free. But one of their pet peeves is they always try to fix their office by buying something shiny, like a big laser or a CBCT, or learning a new recipe, like they want to learn implants or ortho, whatever. But I've always seen that the highest return on investment is always a consultant to get your house in order. And why would you want to add implants, ortho, lasagna when your current restaurant isn't even profitable? And consultants are the biggest gift because the dentist just lives in their office. You've seen 700 offices.
Correct.
Get a consultant before you do any. Get your own house in order. Get poised for growth before you try to start growing.
Absolutely.
And I've also seen that in the office that does $750,000 a year, you can live with a lot of problems because they're just little gnarly dogs barking. But by the time you get to $1 million practice or a $2 million practice, that barking dog is a Tyrannosaurus Rex and takes down the whole company.
Correct.
So what problems are you solving out there? And try to paint scenarios so one of my homies is listening saying, I want to get Charlene White with that beautiful West Virginia, you said?
No, Virginia Beach, Virginia, on the coast. Virginia
Beach, Virginia. Isn't that where Linda Miles?
Yes.
Did she live around there?
She does.
Right on. Shout out to Linda. So what problems are people calling you for? What problems are you solving?
Well, probably primarily the number one reason they call is they're not happy with their case acceptance. So they have new patients coming in quite often, but they're not converting a lot of them. So they want me to come in to analyze the process, and it's not uncommon for them to have a 30% increase in case acceptance after the consultation, which is quite significant.
So how many cases, case opportunities would you say the average orthodontist is getting a month, and how many of those do they convert to pay-for-play treatment?
So the average orthodontist is probably going to see about 30 new patients a month, and they, on average, are going to convert about 55% would be average.
That's 15 starts?
That's correct. And an excellent percentage would be 75% or higher.
And what's 75% of 30? Come on, I'm from Kansas.
75%.
Well, here, I got a calculator.
That would be about 23.
23? So 50% would be 15 starts out of 30.
Right.
And 75% would be 23 starts.
Correct.
And who is a better... Is it overly simplistic to say a treatment plan coordinator does it better than an orthodontist? Is that too simplified, or?
Well, because actually 80% of the decision making, of course, was made by the mom, and now the children are having... Which
is why I'm divorced.
And the children now are having a lot more influence over the parents with the Gen We society.
The Gen We? Yeah. I've never heard that.
Yeah, right.
So what's the Gen We?
This is the children, the younger children today, who have all this access to information, and they'll do a lot of research by themselves, and then they'll go to mom and dad and say, in our case, this is what I found out, and I'm interested in going to this orthodontist. So it's really, the dynamics are changing. But up until this point, it's been about 80% of the decisions are made by the mom. And 80% of the decision-making process of making a choice is with the right brain, the emotional side, versus the left brain, which is the logical side.
What percent left emotion?
Right brain is emotion, left brain is logistical, analytical. And so what's happened in many offices is they're very informative, they're organized, they're efficient, but they're not tapping into that feeling side. So the ones that really, the orthodontists who understand this and really connect with the children, connect with the parent, and that emotional connection. And it actually starts with the website, and then I call it the pivotal points of the new patient process. So in the pivotal points, the first one is when they go to your website, women like little video clips. They like to see a picture of the doctor with their family, if they don't have a family, pursuing their hobby or something. So they like to see that. So, looking at what are moms looking for at the website and making sure that you've included that. Then the next point is when they call on the telephone. The staff need to be very well trained to take that phone call. Some moms are in a hurry, some moms want to chat, but really getting the key elements down on that initial telephone call, because otherwise you're going to have higher no-shows. And so the confirmation process is also important. So asking mom, now how would you like to be confirmed for your appointment? Would you like telephone, text, email? Most today are going to say text. So you have to have a very good system for confirmation in the texting arena. So then the next step is when they walk in the door, and then you have the greeting. In my world, what I really love to see is I love to see the front desk coordinator, do a nice, warm, friendly greeting the patient first, then mom. And in most offices, in an average scenario, they're going to hit her with this pages of all these things to fill out before they go back. And moms don't really want to do that anymore. So this is something they don't want to do. They don't want to fill out all these lengthy forms. Most of the information they've already asked over the telephone, name, address, phone number. So I have what I call the quick and easy form. It's real easy for mom to fill out, and a little child questionnaire, understanding what are their hobbies and interests. And then the doctor can key in the TC and start getting them to talk about themselves, and that's what everybody wants to talk about. That's their favorite thing to talk about. So making that connection, and then the treatment coordinator brings them back. Either they take the records, x-rays, photographs, the initial records, or either they have a records coordinator who does that. So all of the records are taken and ready, prepared for the doctor, so when they go to present the treatment plan, they have a 3D image, if they have that in their office. They have the scan done, they have the photographs done, and it makes for a very nice presentation visually when they start talking about the benefits of treatment. Now, one of the other key things that I find is an orthodontist who talks directly to mom. The child sitting over here still in the exam chair, they're not making eye contact with mom or the patient, and they're talking about he, she, not by name, and not having that direct conversation. That will also impact the case acceptance. I had a client to go up 20%. That was his key problem after making that little change in connection and communication and body language. And then the final thing, of course, is going to be the flexible financing. So if you've done everything right, you've built up the benefits of treatment, you've made the patient feel very comfortable and connected with them, the next thing is going to be the flexible financing. And statistically, Americans have about $500 to pay down on anything. And for many years, we asked for 30% down as an initial payment, so much a month for 20 to 24 months. But that 30% down is a big barrier. So the offices who are more flexible with their financing, they do auto payment, they have good collection controls, they're able to have lower down payments, and especially if the patient has a good insurance benefit. I was at a seminar the other day and I saw a video clip of a company that went out on the street talking to people on the street about if your child has just been recommended to see an orthodontist, what was the very first thing that you did after that? And 3 mothers they interviewed, all 3 said the same thing. They went to their insurance benefit website to see who was in network and what was the benefit going to be. So that's a big change. Typically they would have said a few years ago, they would have gone to Facebook and talked with their Facebook friends, because a lot of the moms, as you know, are on Facebook. And so that's the first thing they typically would have done. So I see that dynamic shifting.
My mom told me yesterday that she didn't like one of my posts on Facebook, so I blocked her. Yeah, and a lot of I talk to these website SEO people. They say that people are saying dentists in my area that takes this insurance, and a lot of dental websites don't have the insurance that they participate with, and that it's a huge faction.
It is.
Faction of. So what percent did you say was left brain logic and right versus right brain emotion? When
80% emotion and 20% logic in the decision-making process.
So I've seen that in Phoenix here, where there are some orthodontists who first were engineers, then went to dental school, and I mean, just some of the most amazing orthodontists. They have these very little practices,
Right.
and then there's a couple of these gregarious bigger than life personality.
Right.
Both of them in my area are Canadians. Every mom loves them, and they have these monster practices.
Correct.
But their ortho isn't perfect like the other ones. So it is emotional. It's connecting. I'd rather have, if my 4 boys, I would rather them have a high emotional quotient than an intelligent quotient.
And the goal, of course, is to have both, because one of the things that I look at when I consult with an office is I have what I call the peak performance practice. And one of the things is the clinical expertise, the outcome, the efficiency is the foundation to appointment but control, and also a huge part today of marketing. Because if you are able to create beautiful smiles, attractive profiles, and you can show them this and say, this is the kind of result that we're going to be able to get for your child, that's a big practice builder too. So in an ideal world, we have the emotional connection, but we also have the excellence in treatment. I know, because I had a 13 millimeter overjet and a retrognathic mandible. Always wanted to be a cheerleader, but never got selected because they don't choose cheerleaders who have buck teeth. And so I had my orthodontic surgery done in 1994 and finally got the profile that I always dreamed of having, and it changes your life.
Well, that's another thing we have in common, because in high school I always wanted to be a cheerleader, but they didn't have transgender surgery back then.
There you go.
So I had to wait till I was 54.
Yeah.
So let's switch to marketing. What should well, first of all, the average orthodontist gets 30 new patient opportunities, and the average converts 15, and that with someone like CharleneWhite.com, you could probably get that from at a 30 from 50%, starting 15 to 75% at 23.
Right.
Is that a pretty good chance? That,
Yes, and there's
that they could do
there's
that?
2 other elements that they're typically not tracking. One is 30% of the time an orthodontist will oftentimes put a child on recall when they're going to monitor their growth and development. And then 2 or 3 years down the road, that patient is ready. So if they have a highly effective recall system, which should be 85% or higher, you have the patients coming out of the recall program. So that has to be extremely efficient.
And how often is that recall? Every 12 months?
Usually every 6, 8, or 12 months, depending upon the age of the child and how long it's going to be. And the most important thing for the recall patients is you've got to create an atmosphere where they're going to have fun. They're going to want to come to the office, get little gifts when they come, spin the prize wheel. So, but you've got to track. When the orthodontist says, okay, Johnny is ready, we've got to track that to see, is that really happening? And the other would be from phase 1 to phase 2, making sure that the phase 2 patients are accepting treatment. So there's 3 different areas of tracking. Tracking and analyzing is a very weak area in many practices, and that's where I come in. When I come in and show them, look, this is what you're doing now, but with these changes, we could go from 1 start a day to 2 starts a day to 3 starts a day, and actually be highly productive in the same number of days a year, which is probably going to be about 165 days for the average orthodontist.
165 days? What is that, Monday through Thursday?
Yeah, it's typically a 3 to 4 day week.
The average orthodontist is 165 days?
Yeah, that's about 14 days a month.
14 days a month. So,
Right.
so basically the average orthodontist doesn't have a full-time job.
Well, you know, in orthodontics, because with Invisalign and treatment planning, if you have 3 days of patients, you've got a half a day to a day of
Paperwork.
of things to do. Correct.
And what would you say the average orthodontist grosses? What is gross revenue and gross net for?
An average orthodontist, according to the some of the journals that have just that had come out every year, that the average orthodontist produces 1.2 million with an overhead of 61%.
Oh my God, their overhead's going up.
Their overhead has gone up due to
So
technology.
what would their net be then on 1.2? What's 39% of 1.2?
39% of say 40, 400.
So let me see that. 1.2.
I think it's about 800,000.
Times 0.39 would be 468.
Mm-hmm.
So they're netting 468.
Yes.
Not bad. That's a nice income.
Right. And of course, one of the things, technology has driven up the cost in terms of overhead, and the other is now they need to market. Massive action on marketing, and we didn't used to have to market.
So you
before.
got into this 31 years ago.
Correct.
What percent would an orthodontist 31 years ago spend in marketing? What was it 15 years ago? What is it today?
30-some years ago, probably 0.5%. And then the next level we hit was like 1 to 2%. 5 years or 5 to 8 years, I guess since 2008, really, that actually has gone up to 3 to 4%. And some doctors are even spending, 6% to 9%. But I would say what I'm advising my clients is 3 to 4%. But then you also have to have at least a part-time marketing coordinator. So you have to figure out who is going to have the time to take the action, because it's going to take a lot more energy and action in the marketing plan today than ever before, because a lot more dentists are doing orthodontics, and pedodontists are bringing in their own orthodontists. These big groups are developing. The dynamics are changing. So for the solo or partnership type orthodontists, they're going to have to do a lot of marketing today.
So would they be marketing more to the general dentist to get the referral, or which I call B2B marketing, or B2C, business to consumer, trying to get mom to just come straight to the orthodontist, bypassing a general dentist? So how do you break up that B2B versus
Doctor
B2C?
referrals into the orthodontic practice used to run about 65%. Then they dropped to about 55%. And right now they're tracking about 35%.
B2B's down to 35%,
That's on average.
and
Now,
B2C is 65%. So
so on average, what's happened is, and this is geographic specific, because if you are over 2 hours from a major airport and you have lousy weather a good part of the year, you're going to have fewer orthodontists. So they have a much bigger drawing area. So they may not have to do that much for marketing. But in a competitive market, definitely we're seeing referrals drop. And so they've had to shift their marketing strategy to social media, to external advertising, and advertising in the community. So they have, if they're really involved in the community and have a good brand, that works very well. But it's not uncommon for them to have 50% still dental referrals and 50%, from patients and family in the community. But some don't get any dental referrals.
But go back to what you said. You first said that if a dentist is in a cold area, would you say an hour away from an airport, or what did you say?
2.
2 hours away from an airport, they're doing good.
Mm-hmm.
Demographics still matter.
Demographics are huge. No marketing plan will overcome a poor demographic, and I'll refer to a gentleman who does demographic studies for clients.
Does he just do dental?
He does dental, yes. He does. That's what he focuses on, is dental.
Who is it?
His name is Greg, and his company is Valmont, V as in Victor. Valmont Research is the name of his company. So he will go in.
Valmont Research.
VALMONT.
Let me see if I can.
And I had a client who utilized him. He wanted to open up another second office because the demographics of his current location, he'd been in it for 20 years, were going down. And you can tell by looking at the franchises and kind of seeing what's happening in shopping malls and all in a particular area, if it's the economy is going down. And his was definitely, I said, you've got to get another location. He did. Had Greg do the demographic study on it. The very first month, the new office outproduced the 20-year office.
Oh, my. So
The
it's
demographics-
www.valmont, V-A-L-M-O-N-T, V-A-L-M-O-N-T,
research.com.
research.com.
And he does demographic.
Where is he out of?
I'm not sure.
Greetings, is that it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. He's out of California.
California, there you go.
But you know what? There's these podcasts are huge with the young kids, the millennials, dental students.
Mm-hmm.
They say, I'll show them a town in Arizona with 7,000 people with no dentist. And they say, well, I don't want to live there.
Right.
And then they'll go set up in North Scottsdale, where in 2008, during the financial meltdown, the Valley lost, I think it was 74 practices went under that year. Half of them were in North Scottsdale. And every damn millennial I talk to that graduates from the Institute of Dental School say, well, that's where I want to live. What would you tell her? She's whining that she's got $350,000 of student loans.
Correct.
I show her a city with 6,500 people with no one, that she could commute there in an hour, and she says, I don't want to commute. I want to be right in this area.
Right.
What would you say to her?
Well, I would say then face the fact, that you're going to be limiting your income.
And spending a lot more on marketing.
Oh, yes.
And what did you say? That no marketing plan can overcome bad demographics.
No.
But if you get a bullseye on demographics, you could be the worst marketer in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And you could have
And you know what?
actually have a waiting list. I've been to areas like that.
And here's why I tell you, if you're young, don't worry about the commute, because the commute is going to be, we're within 5 years of a driverless car. We won't be buying $30,000 cars. Most of that overhead in a car is for you to drive it. It's going to be a little box with 4 wheels, electric motor. So it'll be decked out. It could be a bed. It could be a couch. You could be sitting there watching a big screen TV, watching a movie, doing your email. So in 5 years, if you had an hour commute, hour and a half commute, you won't even care. I mean, the commute only sucks when you're in parking lot traffic for an hour, fighting your way home. Now you're going to be taking a nap, checking your Facebook. Okay, so we both agree that demographics is far more important than marketing. Okay, so when you're doing B2B, so if you're an orthodontist and you're trying to get general dentists, what works? Is it cookies at Christmas? I mean, what works with that?
Well, it takes a lot of action, and one of the things that the staff love, the referring teams, is they do like, little gifts that you bring by. I like to do individual gifts, like, for example, at Thanksgiving, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, each person on the team of the top 10, for example, would get a pie, things like that. They like little facts trivia contests. They take a jar, refill it each month with some candy or goodies. It's just kind of crazy. But
how often would you send something to them?
Well, actually, the marketing coordinator should really go by their office once a month, the ones that you're getting referrals from. And then some of them are very clinically oriented, the referring doctor. And so getting into study clubs with the doctors who are very clinically oriented, they admire your work, that you admire theirs, then that takes on a kind of a different level.
I don't think you have to be clinically good anymore, because now with Photoshop, you can just fix all your cases to her.
Well,
just give it to some kid.
Of course, there's
Fix
going to
the
be
color.
a percentage of your referrals that are very serious about their treatment plan.
Not all my jokes are funny. I try. Most of them suck, but I keep swinging for the fence. So okay, so then
Because it's about relationship, and a lot of them have lost referrals because they did not keep up the relationship. I had 2 doctors. Senior doctor was great at relationships. He retired. The other doctor, he lost practically all the dental referrals, but he wasn't doing anything to invest in the relationship.
So when you and I started this journey, we both, my dental office, I graduated 30 years ago this year, May 11, 87 in UMKC. I got my office open 4 months later, September 21st. So I graduated May 11, got my office open September 21. Has that changed? Could an orthodontist graduate from ortho school and just start scratch 4 months later, has an orthodontic practice? Or would you say, slow down, homie, you should go work, you should be somebody's associate for a year or two, and that's a higher, what I did, was that crazy? Is it a better chance of success working for an older orthodontist for a couple of years? Is that better?
What I would recommend, and I just had a young doctor call me, he's going to an area that is it's underserved, and so they're already getting patients ready for him. So he's going to start out from scratch, but he's got a lot of, I know with the demographics, he's going to see a lot
So he's
of
rural.
Yes, he's going to be rural. And if they can go work for somebody a day or two a week, they can learn a lot, especially in a very busy practice. They will learn a lot and see a lot of cases. But I find that typically they're going to go ahead and start their own thing part-time a day or two a week somewhere else where many have told me over the years how beneficial that was, getting thrown into a very busy practice and seeing lots of cases.
So when you say rural, you first said 2 hours from a major airport? That's your definition of rural?
An hour and a half to 2 hours, right?
An hour and a half to 2 hours from
Correct.
Is there a size of that
and
town?
I said weather also. So, they have pretty lousy weather.
So go to lousy weather.
Yeah, because, some of the young doctors say, I want to go to Miami, I want to go to L.A.
I know.
And I'm
It's like, I hope you marry well, and I hope your parents had a lot of money.
It's tough. And unless you've got some kind of major family connection where you're just so well known in the area, those kind of things can affect it. But, definitely the demographics are.
Okay, so right now, today, it's 2017. Facebook was started 2004. Is Facebook a game changer? I mean, when you're talking about an orthodontist advertising B2C to the consumer, when we started 30 years ago, it was only direct mail and yellow pages.
Right.
Are you still a fan of direct mail and yellow pages?
No.
Neither?
Some direct mail works well, especially in a military area. Valpak can work well. So I have seen
in a military area.
Yes, because they move in and out a lot. So there's more
high turnover.
More transient, correct? Because the postcard can tend to work out well for 3 or 4 mailings, and then kind of diminish.
Okay.
And
then when would you pick that up again? A couple of years later.
Yeah.
Depends on the turnover rate.
It depends on the turnover rate, correct?
So direct mail works better in a highly transient society.
And also if you're willing to have some kind of promotions. So if the doctor is willing to do some kind of promotions, that gets people's attention also.
Like what? Give an example of it.
Like a free whitening kit, or $500 off, or $1,000 off Invisalign, things like that.
No.
For a certain period of time.
When you're talking about overhead, okay, so direct mail, but yellow pages. What would you say about yellow pages?
Well, I just think their history. I mean, I don't really hear anybody talk about them. Most of my clients have invested in a specialist who's going to help advise them on their social media. And
does your company do that too?
No, I don't. I refer that because of the fact that that's a whole another world.
What companies do you recommend?
I like Social Ortho is one of them.
Social Ortho.
Right. And Banyan is another.
Wait. I'm not only am I old and senile, I'm pretty sure my mother dropped me when I was little. So you're saying Social
Ortho.
socialortho.com.
And then there's
wait. Let's see this one. Oh, that says it's Banyan. Socialortho.com is Banyan.
Okay, they changed their name.
Okay, so that's why it's confused.
Very, very sharp company.
Is that out of Utah?
I think it is, correct.
So what is it with Utah? It's like almost every social media company I've ever ran into is out of Utah. What up with that? Is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure, but I know this. I heard the young man who's the owner of it lecture a few weeks ago, and he's outstanding.
What was his name?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think
Can you edit that?
No. I've talked to him too. I just can't remember. I used to be able to remember every name in the world. Now I only remember. Zach, what was your name again? Are you Ryan? So then, yeah, there it is. Banyan, showcasing one of our favorite social signs this week in honor of the Hollywood sign. So what was the other one you said you were going to recommend? Or was that it? It was Social Ortho?
I really
Banyan.
like DSID.
Okay, so it was Digital Sign ID, digitalsignid.com. And so tell me about them. Why you
Well,
like
they have a great little thing called the photo booth, and it's got a small footprint, but the kids can take their photos and they push them out to social media. They have boas and glasses and everything, so it's really a lot of fun. And then they have this beautiful monitor system. They integrate a lot of pictures and things from your office and within these beautiful pictures, and the monitor is in the reception area, and they do quite a lovely job.
Okay, any others?
Practice Retriever.
Gosh, you're loaded for bear. So do you know that? Just want me to search Practice Retriever?
Yes.
Practice
Retriever. And the lady who
Practice.
owns that, her name is Beth, and they do a very nice job also.
Okay, so practice retriever.
Right.
Is it like Macbeth out of Beth out of Shakespeare?
Yeah, that's it. That's her.
That's her. So where's
And
she out of?
her logo's a retriever.
Ah.
Yeah, she's a dog lover. She's in Colorado.
And these are all three people from marketing.
And social, yes, marketing and social.
Any others? Or
Well, there's Vision Trust, and
these are people that mainly do dental.
yes,
Vision.
Trust. Now they do customized videos, outstanding videos. They do a great job with that, and they also design websites.
Is that it? Vision. Oh, that's visiontrust.org.
Okay.
Vision Trust. Is it Vision Trust Communications?
Well, it's Vision Trust.
Is it orthodontist only? Oh,
Yes.
orthodontic. Okay.
Mhm.
Look at that. Okay. And
Jeff Behan owns that company.
okay, here it is. Vision Trust.
Mhm.
Is that it right there?
Is that in Colorado?
Yep.
Yep. And that's one of my clients that he's got a picture of.
Oh, really? Who's that?
Dr. David Sarver. He's world famous.
Really? For what?
He was the first orthodontist to actually develop imaging for the orthodontic practice.
Yeah.
And so he is phenomenal in terms of treatment planning and the facial balance, soft tissue, integrated.
Will you email him and CC me, Howard at dentaltown.com? I'd love to podcast him on that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That'd be
In fact, he just texted me.
So
But he's written many textbooks, articles.
Wow.
He lectures all over the world.
What's his name?
I went to Birmingham, Alabama, where he is, and that's where I had my orthodontic surgery done, which he treatment planned everything. So if you really want to have the ultimate beautiful smile arc, profile, all of that, I mean, he's
well, here's my
he's the master.
that's my cell phone number and my email.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So he just sent me a picture. That's him and his wife. They have a place.
Can I text back? This is Howard Farran.
What are you texting him?
I said, this is Howard Farran.
Oh.
So, back to B2C. Direct mail works in a transient society. You talked about that you really should bring an expert in, and you gave us 3 names, social medias. Does Facebook really work?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So that's why I definitely work with my clients. They have to know where the referrals are coming from, and they got to do a better job of that. They're oftentimes, they get busy and tracking where they're coming from and looking at their return on investment. But the mothers definitely, they talk a lot on Facebook. So when you have a great reputation in the community and the mothers are saying positive things about you on Facebook, that definitely is, word of mouth is a powerful tool.
I still think the very best marketing anyone can do to be world famous overnight is to shoot a lion.
He was, wasn't
Named
he?
Cecil.
He got on television.
So that's already been done. So what would you shoot next? What do you think? The lion's been done. Would you shoot a giraffe, a rhino, club a baby seal? What would just make the evening news? Zach, you have any ideas over there? Do you think we talked about overhead? I mean, overhead. You're saying the average orthodontist has 61% overhead. When I got out of school, the average orthodontist didn't even have 50% overhead. Do you think some of that increased overhead, a lot of it is the lab bill on Invisalign? I mean, that's no small bill. How much would you say the average How much would you say the average lab bill is on Invisalign?
Well, it's typically $1,800, but the more you do, the lab bill goes down. But when I track how many visits my clients are doing for an Invisalign case, you take the fee minus the lab bill, if it's $1,800, and the balance divided by 8 or 9 visits, it still can be very profitable for the orthodontist.
But do you recommend a straight wire fee and then a higher fee for Invisalign? Since
For better case acceptance, if you have the same fee for the comprehensive braces or Invisalign, it's going to.
So you recommend one fee
for comprehensive treatment, yes.
One fee for comprehensive.
Not if you want this bracket, it's this, or this bracket, it's this.
Because what would you say the average bracket cost would be for versus the average Invisalign? The average Invisalign lab case would be $1,800. Brackets wouldn't even be $100, would they?
Well, really a wide range of what prices are for brackets, so it's hard to say. And then obviously that's the doctor's decision, but I'd say on average it's going to be about $350 to do the wires, brackets, and everything.
So $350 versus $1,800. So the doctors, gosh darn, it seems like the most successful ones always have two traits. They're always humble and they're hungry. There's nothing beats I'm humble, I'll listen to you, and I'm really ambitious and I'll work hard. But it seems like a lot of them are arrogant and lazy. And that's a dangerous combination when they're arrogant and lazy. They see their office, and they're arrogant, lazy, and they've seen their office. You've seen 700 offices. What would you say is the low-hanging fruit to what the people doing it twice as better are doing more of versus the people having a lot of trouble are doing it less of?
Vision and purpose and an outstanding team.
Vision, purpose, outstanding team. Go through vision and purpose and outstanding team.
Well, the orthodontist who has a vision of my goal is to see 500 new patients a year, and to
see 500 new patient opportunities or 500 starts.
New patient opportunities, or it could be
okay.
starts.
See 500.
Anyway, they have goals in mind, and they're very purpose driven because they are driven because they know that it really changes people's lives to have excellent orthodontic treatment. So they have a lot of respect for their employees and the patients and parents, and like you said, they're humble, but they also are quite driven, and they know what they want.
And where do you think that drive comes from? Do you think that's an innate thing?
Well,
if
you're going to become an orthodontist, you've got to be driven and goal-oriented because of the fact you would not get into orthodontic specialty. And I'm very fortunate because it's gone up now to about 25% of orthodontists ever hire a consultant. And so if they do hire consultants, they tend to be driven, they know what they want, and so, that's where I come in.
What would you say your average consultant? Okay, so the average orthodontist has 1.2 million with 61 overhead, and that's 468. What would you say the average client that you get knocks on your door? What do you think the average client produces?
Well, I'd say probably on average, mine is going to be about 1.6 million. They're going to produce, but I do work with a lot of young orthodontists.
Okay, but see right there.
They're just starting out.
But see right there. So the average orthodontist, that's 468. Whenever I talk to a consultant, consultants always have jaded numbers because I'll say to a consultant, well, what does the average general dentist do? And they say, about 1.3. Yeah, get it? Because everybody that calls a consultant is at that 1.3. They never hear from the ones doing 678. And it's just, and it's that humble. So basically, if only 25% of the orthodontists use that's the numbers I see. 3 out of 4, they're born, they know it all, they're arrogant, they're not humble. Only 1 in 4 orthodontists sit there and say, hey, even though I'm an orthodontist and the master of the universe, and I think that a consultant might know more than me. And then they listen. Okay, but when I line up any dentist, whether it be dentists, oral surgeons, orthodontists, I line up any of them, I go through them and say, what stresses you out the most? Every single time it's the staff. They say, oh my God, the staff are my stress. I mean, Charlene's the best treatment coordinator, but I swear to God, she drives me insane. I want to fire her so bad, but I think it hurt the practice.
Right.
And they just, their guts hurt from HR. What advice would you give them on HR?
Well, I think it depends on the orthodontist, but quite often if they can put into place an effective office manager, then that can help them a lot, because the orthodontist has a tremendous amount of responsibility taking care of the patients. And then you try to put HR on top of it, and the average orthodontist is going to have 6 to 15 staff members. It's a lot, so they need help. They need to delegate and find people who can help them manage the HR and help them with the hiring process to get the right people on the bus sitting in the right seats, obviously from that famous book Good to Great. And then when you build your internal team of experts and your external team of experts, that's what the orthodontist needs to do in order to not feel stressed out and burnout, and they're able to then focus on what only they can do in the practice.
So where does so you believe in the office manager concept?
And I evaluate whether or not one is needed.
And what percent of the time is one needed?
I think it's increasing for
well,
sure.
Let's
say 50% of the time.
Is it a benchmark thing? Like, I mean, can you not really get to 1 million without an office manager? Is there a numerical?
It's really
is
more,
number of staff?
I mean, I think it's more about if an orthodontist is feeling like it's kind of dragging them down, then we look at the things that they could potentially delegate, and then they may need an office manager in order to make.
What do you think of the way I see it? My deal is that just through your genetics, your birth, your shaping.
Right.
I mean, by the time you're 30 years old, you should already know what you're good at.
Right.
And what you're not good at. And so I would say, well, if you have a bunch of staff stress and a bunch of staff turnover, you're not good at it. If you're not good at it, you should get someone to do it better. Right. Like one dentist said to me, he goes, well, I do all my own hiring. I insist on it. I said, dude, your average employee hasn't even been here 3 years. Do you need to run?
Yeah, I do.
You need to run. Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Howard.
Thank you very much.